it's Brittany Lepage, the Dahlia darling. I wanted to give you a quick go over with what to do with your dahlias right now. It is May 9th today. It's still too early in our zone to plant dahlias in the ground. They are frost sensitive. But it's coming soon. So let me give you some tips on what to do with your tubers or your already growing dahlia plugs, or even your tubers that you've already gotten started inside that have growth on them. Here. So I have a tray of some cuttings here. If you bought some cuttings from me, please go ahead and pot them up into 4-inch pots like this. I have these outside. I have all my plants hardening off because it is almost that time. I try to harden off my dahlia plugs before I gave them out, just to help make them more able to withstand stresses and stuff. Here's an order I have going out today. Anyways, you want to harden them off. You'll notice I don't have them in direct sunlight. My tree kind of shades it a bit, but it gets a little bit of sunlight, lots of wind, fresh air. This is great. We're strengthening our plants so that they can survive the transplant from growing indoors to growing outside. So these are some tubers I potted up earlier. What I'm going to do is, you see how I can see part of the tuber there? I'm going to want to bury this further under the ground. I'm probably going to either bury it just up to underneath this node here, or I will even go so far as to pull those leaves off and bury past the node. This will help support this plant as it grows, so that the stem doesn't break off from where it's attached to the tuber once, because these guys have a lot more to grow. Some of these get 4 to 6 feet tall. So, for example, this one, I would absolutely pull off those bottom leaves, kind of like what you do with tomatoes. Pull off the bottom leaves and plant up the stalk. Put these right in the ground. So that's what I'll be doing. Now, if you want to plant stuff in the ground now, you could probably get away with planting tubers in the ground right now, because the tuber will be protected by the dirt, correct? If there's nothing growing above the ground, then the frost won't touch it. We do want our soil to be a certain temperature, or the tuber, I don't know, it might still stay a little bit sleepy. We also don't, if it gets really rainy in the next couple of weeks, there's also a greater chance that the tuber could rot. But, I mean, these are just things to keep on mind. I wouldn't panic about them. I wouldn't get too worried. Just keep it on mind. Plant your tubers in the ground. Plant them down so there's 3 to 4 inches of dirt on top of them. And then by the time they start getting some growth above the ground, the chance of frost, or the last frost date should be passed. So they'll be fine. These ones I went ahead and planted this weekend. This garden plot is different from my other garden plots. I find I'm on a higher altitude and I don't get frost here like I do at some of my other where I grow my other dahlias. So these ones are fine and they're close to home. Now, if I check the weather every single day and I keep my eye on it. So if I notice that we're gonna have a cold night, I will cover those and they'll be fine. That's all. And I'll just take the cover off in the morning. Now, when I cover them, like, it could be something as simple as just putting like a pot over top of it, or I'll go into my recycling and find an old box or a plastic tote or just like anything I can find just to cover it. A sheet, sure, whatever. You don't want anything to like crush your plant, so just try to make sure it's something somewhat sturdy, like a box. You'll be fine. You can even use like a recycling box. The recycling box itself, the blue bin, just put it right over top of that baby. It's fine. So yeah, we're in the Ottawa Valley, and our last frost date it's usually safe to plant out after the May long weekend, but I know we have had frost in early June once, maybe twice in the past 5 years. It happens, okay? Even if frost does take out, say you have your stuff planted and frost takes out the green growth that's on top of the soil, just cut it back. The tuber's still alive underground. It will put out new shoots and you will still get a dahlia. It just kind of sets it back a bit. I actually have I have a theory, because I've seen this happen twice now. Both a gentleman at the community garden who had planted an entire plot full of dahlias 3 years ago. He'd planted all of his dahlias and a frost hit them and killed everything on top of them. He was upset. He thought he lost this investment of tubers that he had planted, but he didn't. He ended up, it ended up being okay because he cut off all the damaged material, green growth on top, and new shoots came up, and his dahlias were like double the size of mine by the end of summer and had double the blooms. It was crazy. And then my aunt had the same experience. Maybe it was last year. She was saying that she thought she lost all her dahlias and then to frost, but then they all came back and they were amazing that year. So I was actually thinking of trying to plant a couple of dahlias as an experiment somewhere that I know could still get a frost in the next couple of weeks. And I don't know. I want to see. I wonder if the frost does something to trigger the dahlia to it's a plant, and its goal is to make flowers so it can make seeds and reproduce. It's all about reproduction. So if it gets a frost and it gets stressed out, it goes, oh my gosh, like I need to work even harder to get flowers so I can make seeds. Or, before, the cold comes and kills me like it's trying to do right now. And I think it might, do something to kickstart the survival mechanism of the plant. I don't know. So I'd like to try this. I will keep you guys posted on my experiment and see what happens. If you've ever experienced this, reach out. Let me know. I'm curious. I want to know. I'm sure there's... I'm friends with a lot of different dahlia growers. Tell me if you've had this happen and what your experience was. I'm curious. Anyways, have a great day, everybody, and I hope you have a great Mother's Day weekend this weekend. Bye now. Oh, I almost forgot. Make sure you stake your dahlias. They get 4 to 6 feet tall. You need stakes on them. Here, look at this little guy in a pot, and I've got this giant stake here. Well, that will be going in the ground with him at some point, and I might even add 2 more stakes around him. Just don't forget to stake your dahlias. This is a bamboo pole from like the dollar store. You can get bundles of them. You can get them at Canadian Tire. You could even, look, I have a stick in here. Although it's not quite working, but I just put a stick that fell off my tree onto this one to kind of help it out a bit. That guy has a stick too. I'm gonna get him in the ground and get him a couple of real stakes and maybe even some twine to wrap around him. But don't forget to stake your dahlias. Thanks, guys.